Your Excellencies, good morning. Can I please respectfully invite all of us to take our seats so that we can start with our program. Good morning, Your Excellencies. Let me once again invite you to please take your seats so that we can start with our program. Before opening, this session, I wanted to invite all of you to look around and admire the marvelous renovated room we are holding our meeting. You will certainly agree with me that Room 1 now offers appropriate futures to inspire our deliberations in this temple of peace and constructive dialogue among member states. The room has undoubtedly rediscovered its iconic original design envisaged by its architects way back in 1958. Your Highness, Mr. Chairperson of the Executive Board, Madam Director General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to welcome to UNESCO His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai and Minister of Finance and Industry of the United Arab Emirates. His Highness Sheikh Hamdan is one of the longest-serving ministers who oversaw the process of modernization and development of the United Arab Emirates over the past decades. As a benefactor and patron of several awards and scholarship programs, Sheikh Hamdan supports distinguished young scholars, researchers, scientists, and medical institutions. Sheikh Hamdan is a great benefactor, and we are honored to count him among the true friends of our organization. The reason of his presence today is the renovation of this room I invited you earlier to admire, but also at the same time appreciate. This was made possible only thanks to the extremely generous contribution of $6.1 million by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Before listening to His Highness, I will give the floor to the Director General for a few words. Madam Director General, you are invited to take the floor.
His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Deputy Ruler of Dubai, Minister of Finance of the United Arab Emirates, Mr. President of the General Conference, Mr. Chair of the Executive Board, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to welcome you all to the opening of the 39th session of the General Conference in this iconic and entirely renovated Room 1. On behalf of the organization, allow me to express my deepest gratitude to His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, who graciously funded the renovation of this outstanding auditorium. Thanks to His Highness, Room 1 has been restored and it has been improved. I see this as a powerful symbol among so many marks of support of the depth of our partnership. His Highness, with his foundation support, has contributed to the UNESCO Postgraduate Diploma in the Arab Region project. His Highness has supported the UNESCO project on Skills for Life, improving literacy levels and life skills among youth and women in Somalia. His Highness is the driving force behind the UNESCO Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Prize for outstanding practice and performance, enhancing the effectiveness of teachers, established in 2008 to spotlight outstanding initiatives across the world. His Highness is patron of the Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum Award for Distinguished Academic Performance. The nameplates displayed here in honor of His Highness will serve to remind future generations of His Highness' commitment to advancing UNESCO's soft power through education, culture, the sciences, communication, and again, in the name of the entire UNESCO family and in my own name, I wish to say how deeply grateful I am. In this same spirit of renovation, and I would say of innovation, I wish all member states successful and productive discussions during the 39th session of the General Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Director General. Your Highness, we are now eager to hear your address to the General Conference, and I have the distinct pleasure to invite you to take the floor.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أصحاب السعادة، السيدات والسادة، إنه لمن دواعي سعادتنا أن نتواجد معا اليوم لنقتطف إحدى ثمرات الشراكة والتعاون بيننا بافتتاح هذه القاعة العريقة التي طالما جمعت نخبة من صناع القرار وممثلي الدول العالم، وشهدت زواياها مناقشات ومداولات إيجابية مسؤولة أسهمت في نشر التعليم والمعرفة وثقافة القيم الإنسانية الراقية، وقامت بكل قوة التحديات ليستمر سكان الكوكب في تعايش يسوده السلام والاحترام والاستقرار. أيها السادة، إننا فخورون بالعلاقة الوطيدة بين دولة الإمارات المتحدة ومنظمة اليونسكو، والتي تطورت بفضل دعم القيادة السياسية، وعلى رأسها صاحب السمو الشيخ خليفة بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس الدولة حفظه الله، وصاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد آل مكتوم نائب رئيس الدولة رئيس مجلس الوزراء حاكم دبي رعاه الله. هذه العلاقة التي تتمحور حول شراكة عميقة الأهداف ومتعددة الأوجه تنشد السلام العالمي ورفاهية البشرية، وتندمج في بناء مجتمع المعرفة بأعلى المعايير الدولية. فمنذ تأسيس دولة الإمارات بقيادة الشيخ زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان طيب الله ثراه، وانضمامها إلى عضوية منظمتكم الموقرة، أصبحت القيم والأهداف المشتركة من أولويات خطتها التنموية المستدامة، وأصبح الاستثمار في العلم وبناء القدرات والارتقاء المعرفي والحضارة في مقدمة اهتماماتها، إلى أن تحولت دولة الإمارات إلى نموذج لمجتمع المعرفة والتنمية المستدامة والتسامح والتعايش والحلول الذكية والمبادرات الإنسانية. هذا التمكين أتاح لها القيام بمسؤولياتها عن جدارة تجاه القضايا البيئية والإنسانية والثقافية، ومساندة الجهود الأممية في العديد من المشروعات والبرنامج، منها مكافحة الفقر والتصحر وتوفير العلم ومستلزمات العيش في بعض المناطق من إفريقيا وآسيا، إضافة إلى المبادرات التعليمية كتدريب المعلمين وتوفير بيئة ملائمة للتعلم والتنوير المعرفي وتعليم اللغات وتشجيع الممارسات التعليمية المتميزة وبرنامج حول الثقافات والحضارات ومكافحة التعصب والإرهاب الفكري. لقد عززت تلك الممارسات الإيجابية من شراكتنا وأتاحت لنا فرصاً عديدة للتعبير عن قناعتنا بأهمية التعليم والمعرفة في ازدهار ودوموية الحضارة الإنسانية، ونحن إذ نتفق معاً في إجراءات إنشاء صندوق دعم التعليم، فإن هذه الشراكة حفزتنا أيضاً على إطلاق مشروع جديد، والذي يسعدني أن أحيطكم به. فقد بدأنا الأعمال التحضيرية لإنشاء مركز عالمي للموهبة على شبكة الإنترنت ليجمع الموهوبين في رابطة عالمية تحت إشراف نخبة من العلماء والخبراء، وإننا على يقين بأن وجود مثل هذه المركز العالمي الذكي سيذلل الكثير من العقبات التي غالباً ما تجحف حق هؤلاء في الحصول على فرصة التطور والنمو. وإننا نتطلع بأن يحظى قطاع الموهوبين برعاية ودعم منظمتكم الموقرة، وأن نقوم جميعاً في مساندة الجهود والمبادرات في هذا المجال. أيها السادة، أود أن أعبر لكم عن خالص شكري وصادق تقديري لإتاحتكم لي هذه الفرصة للمشاركة جهودكم في دعم رسالة التعليم. لقد غمرتمونا بمماراتكم التعليمية جل اهتمامكم ورعايتكم، مما انعكس على تطوير الشراكة بيننا بما يخدم أهدافنا المشتركة. نحن متفائلون بأن افتتاح هذه القاعة سيجدد حماسنا لمواصلة العلم على تحقيق غايتنا النبيلة في ظل الإدارة الجديدة لليونسكو بقيادة سعادة أوداري أزولي، التي نتقدم لها بتهانينا وتمنياتنا لها بالنجاح. ونحن إذ ندعو الجميع لدعم هذه المنظمة لكي تلعب دوراً وتؤدي رسالتها بكل فعالية، فإننا نجدد التزامنا بتقديم كل ما من شأنه لتعزيز جهودكم وتحقيق غايتكم المثلى. وقبل الختام، لنا وقفة احترام وتقدير مع السيدة إرينا بوكوفا، المدير العام لليونسكو، التي تنتهي فترة ولايتها، فقد أجادت في قيادتها دفة هذه المنظمة العريقة بالرغم من كل المصاعب والتحديات، متمنين لها التوفيق. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you very much for your words, Your Highness. Your Highness, on behalf of all member states, I wish to express our heartfelt gratitude for the very generous endowment you have made to UNESCO, an endowment which will no doubt have a long-lasting legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, before I officially open the 39th session of the General Conference, could I ask you to kindly remain seated while Sheikh Hamdan and his entourage leave the room. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman of the Executive Board, Madam Director General of UNESCO, Your Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished ambassadors, friends and colleagues, representatives of intergovernmental and non-governmental organizations, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you to UNESCO, to the 39th session of its General Conference. As President of the previous session, and in accordance with Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Conference, I have the honor to preside over this inaugural meeting. I therefore declare open the 39th session of the General Conference of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, given the important sessions ahead of us, music can no doubt soothe our state of mind. It is my pleasure to introduce a musical moment by our own UNESCO choir, who will sing the first movement of Antonio Vivaldi's Gloria, Gloria in excelsis Deo, glory to God in the highest, under the direction of Connie Glesner and accompanied by Cyril Kirillov, the artistic director. Their second piece, Velvet Shoes, is by the American composer Randall Thompson, with the words in verses 1 and 3 from the poem by Eleanor Wiley, and the words in verse 2 from a paraphrase of the famous words in the preamble to our UNESCO Constitution, which reminds us why we are convening at this 39th session of the General Conference. The choir is invited to present their items. Thank you very much, UNESCO's own musical, choir. And probably UNESCO might be the only UN agency that has got its own choir. That's very good and excellent. I had to live in silence because I cannot invite my good self to take the podium, can I? Your Excellencies, good morning once again. Mr. Chairman of the Executive Board, Madam Director General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I am this morning immersed in a mixed brew of emotions as I take this opportunity to address the General Conference for the very last time, that is, as President. I must confess that time flies. It has been a great honor and privilege for me and my country, Namibia in particular, to have been accorded the opportunity of being at the helm of the supreme governing body of our organization for the past 2 years. I once again thank UNESCO member states, the Africa Group in particular, for the confidence shown in entrusting Namibia with this very onerous responsibility. In the same vein, I would like to thank my government for the privilege accorded to me to represent the land of the brave in this capacity. 2 years ago, when I ascended to this position, I thought I knew all about UNESCO. Well, I must concede that I was wrong, because 2 years later, I have emerged from this assignment greatly enriched, much enlightened, and indeed more wiser on the mechanics of the organization than before. This shows the primacy of lifelong learning. At the onset of my tenure, I had a burning desire, and still do, in concert with my colleague, the chairman of the Executive Board, acting in tandem with the Director General, to engineer the financial revival of our organization. I must, however, acknowledge that our success largely depended on the desire and goodwill of member states to rekindle and/or sustain their appetite to, without fail, honor their obligations to the organization. It is regrettable that as our tenures are drawing to a close, for me this afternoon, and for the latter two next month, we still have to reiterate our calls to concerned member states to honor their dues, while their collective burden now invariably has to be passed on to the next wave of leaders of our organization. UNESCO's capacity to maintain its vintage leadership position in driving the SDG agenda in areas within its mandate is severely imperiled by its perpetual weakened financial position. As I stated in my address during the 200th session of the Executive Board as an organization whose mandate is central to the advancement of humanity. UNESCO should mend its punctured resource base to avoid becoming a historical entity immersed in a sea of opportunities, yet running the risk of contaminating its mandate. I stated then, and still do so now, that we cannot and must not rely on the benevolence of extra budgetary contribution to execute our basket of programs. Our organization has no doubt exhausted the much-needed fiscal space to maneuver its programs. I appeal to member states to peel off this impregnable, to peel off this impermeable layer of indifference we seem to have weaved around us, for our actions are perilously close to compromising our relevance. We must get out of the current comatose of denial and forthwith restore the financial viability and predictability of this great organization. Your Excellencies, during the past 2 years, I crisscrossed vast oceans, deserts and plains, interacting with several member states from Mother Africa to Asia, from Latin America to the Caribbean, and from the Arab region, of course, to Europe. I had the rare opportunity to visit and interact with our organization's frontline staff, that is the staff in the field offices, the everyday protagonists of our decisions taken here at headquarters. I was struck by their enthusiasm and absolute dedication to work. This in spite of the overly challenging environment they operated. Field offices, I must say, Your Excellencies, are the theaters of our organization's program execution. Therefore, UNESCO's continued credibility and relevance to member states hinges on their unconstrained capacity to deliver. Presence and presence alone is never sufficient. Functionality and proven ability to lead, proven ability to support member states, and above all, proven ability to deliver the program of activities is paramount. Equally, I was deeply touched, almost reduced to tears, to witness firsthand the unshaken faith member states continue to place in UNESCO as a dependable partner and also as a partner of choice in driving their respective nations' agendas in the area of education, culture, the sciences, and communication and information. The unbridled confidence member states have in UNESCO is premised on the visible global leadership in areas within its mandate the organization has provided and continues to provide, is based on the valuable expertise the organization has provided and also continues to provide, and is indeed based on tangible outcomes its programs and interventions have yielded and continues to yield. We should therefore tirelessly work to mend any fissures that may emerge in our operation so as to consolidate the faith the global community has in the quality of our leadership and also the sanctity of our work. Your Excellencies, given escalating incidents of intolerance, rising global tensions, and a creeping chorus for violence as opposed to peaceful settlement of disputes, UNESCO's enduring mandate of building peace in the minds of women and men has never been more relevant. The recent observation made by the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, in addressing the General Assembly last September, that we must not sleepwalk into war, illustrates the urgency for heightened renewal of the values of peace, tolerance, and mutual coexistence. It should, however, be stated that we cannot be effective advocates of peace, nor can we expect to reap the maximum dividends of peace when we continue to be an organization beset with simmering disharmony. We must restore trust, and we must instill harmony among member states. Today, more than ever, we need a united organization, one whose entire ecosystem is geared towards the delivery of credible and quality outcomes. Our weighty responsibilities, amongst others, to address escalating incidents of violent extremism, reduce the stubborn illiteracy rate, particularly amongst girls and women, drive efforts to address climate change, which threatens the continued existence of many of our member states, curtail incidents of destruction and piracy of cultural heritage, and address the elusive safety of journalists. All these, Your Excellencies, compel us as UNESCO to act resolutely and in so doing affirm the universality of our actions. In this era, where there seemed to be an onslaught on multilateralism, UNESCO needs to show its pedigree of resilience and weather the current storm, as was the case before when faced with similar challenges. This, Your Excellencies, we can only achieve if those of us who would eternally subscribe to the supremacy of our mandate, those of us who believe in the centrality of interdependence and mutual coexistence, can close ranks and forge ahead in unison. Giving up on the sacred responsibility of advancing the well-being of humanity is not an option at all. I must acknowledge the General Conference's foresightedness in having established the working group to examine the governance, procedures, and working methods of our organization's governance organs. Although this was a mammoth undertaking, its inclusiveness yielded immense value in building greater cohesion among member states. Coming at a time when our organization has assumed greater responsibilities in the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, recommendations advanced, if accepted, will go a long way in creating a robust governance regime. As an organic institution, UNESCO cannot barricade itself in traditional governance practices when the dynamism of the 21st century requires the organization to change. Given the hesitation that usually accompanies any change. I am inspired, and I trust that you too will, by the words of Alan Watts, who once said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." I therefore hope and trust that the desire expressed by a substantive number of member states to initiate reforms in key areas of the organization, though not having mastered the desired consensus, will not be drowned during the choreography of your discussions. I encourage member states to approach the debate with open minds and willingness to engage with core issues, rather than religiously adhere to initial positions. The resolution of these issues is fundamentally critical to attain the imperatives of inclusiveness and equity, and for asserting the centrality of the General Conference. Your Excellencies, I have had the pleasure to chair the working group on the governance, working methods, and procedures of the organization, which was established by the General Conference with a mandate of 2 years from 2016 to 2017. In addition to the recommendations of the working group, I also wish to ventilate the debates of member states with contributions that are based on my own consultations at headquarters, my consultations in the field, and also based on my listening to debates held informally within our organization. I have therefore taken the decision to break away from the conventions of our organization and provide the General Conference with a full reflection in document 39C, Inf. 23, reflecting the 5 key questions that, in my opinion, have emerged as being central in the review of the governance architecture of our organization. These 5 questions are the following. 1, is the current interpretation of UNESCO's mandates still relevant? Or are we following on this mandate in terms of the 5 major programs simply as a ritual? Question number 2, should UNESCO operate along the same functions across all its major programs, particularly regarding the normative action and capacity building? Thirdly, is UNESCO a political as well as a technical agency? And here, I have advanced several proposals to safeguard the debates on the program of our organization, as on several occasions, the program was the casualty of the politicization of our debates. Fourthly, how should we provide UNESCO with the means to achieve its ambitions? It is indeed key to enhance the delivery capacity of the organization. And lastly, but certainly not the least, looking at UNESCO from the field, shouldn't we need a new partnerships compact with traditional, but also new partners? In my reflections, Your Excellencies, I implore member states to reaffirm their political will and provide a safe haven for the program. We need to insulate politicized debates that are more related to the international relations remit than the technical fields of expertise of UNESCO, as well as those debates that lead to some member states to condition their contributions to the regular budget of the organization for political reasons. I also believe that the issue of re-engineering UNESCO's capacity to favor results over the culture of control will also be critical. The impact of UNESCO is about its visibility and the results on the ground. It is thus critical to promote the role of UNESCO's field offices, but also our contributions as member states to the implementation of UNESCO's program, notably by reinforcing the technical ability and the technical inputs of the national commissions for UNESCO. In concluding, let me express my sincere, unreserved thanks to a host of individuals with whom I've had the pleasure to work over the 2 years. First, to Ambassador Michael Wobbs, the chairman of the executive board, for his steadfast leadership of the board during very difficult times. Your Excellency, your valuable inputs during our engagements as leaders of the 3 organs of this organization assisted in shaping our direction on quite a number of key issues. Since your term will also be ending soon, mine is this afternoon, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. To Madam Director General, what else can I say that I have not said? You, Madam Director General, have led our organization with distinction for the past 8 years. You have over the years asserted and carved UNESCO's leadership role in key areas of its mandate. You have cemented its global relevance, notably within the United Nations system. Notwithstanding many trials and tribulations we have gone through, you consistently displayed resilience in your leadership and kept our organization afloat and focused on program delivery. As you are about to conclude your tour of duty, I wish you and your family God's blessings. You can certainly hold your head high, for you did what was humanly possible in your stewardship of the organization. That which you couldn't accomplish, let the incoming wave of leadership take up, for no mortal human being can ever and shall ever fully accomplish the aspirations of an organization with such an eternal mandate. My last parting counsel, Madam Director General, to you is, and this also applies to me, by the way, and also Ambassador Wobbs, please spend quality time with your family, who may not have had sufficient time to be with you over the years when you had to juggle your official engagements. To the staff, the colleagues who made it possible for me to dispense my mandate, the colleagues in GBS, the Secretariat of the governing bodies, under the able leadership of both Mr. Jacques Rao, who has since retired, I hope he's around, and now Ms. Karima Bekri-Lesnar, your colleagues Mr. Louis Salamankas and Ms. Anna Bonetti, a very, very big thank you for the dedication and the professionalism with which you rendered the necessary services. You were my reliable sounding boards on procedural and many other issues which were critical in ensuring constructive discussions, not only during the General Conference, but also during the working group. You are a small unit, but with a very big, task. Yet, you have risen to your task by building a committed, a talented, and a multi-tasked team whose obsession with quality outcomes I, for one, proudly share. To the colleagues who were members of the President's inner cycle, Ms. Catherine Tion, now retired, Ms. Eunice Ong, Mr. Ahmed Abdeli, and last but not least, Ms. Doreen Dubois. To you colleagues, I do not have words to express my gratitude to you all for your valuable insights and for the assistance offered. You were my close confidants. You were indeed my surrogate family members during my stay in Paris. Whatever good deeds, if any, UNESCO will derive from my tenure as president, you colleagues played a very big part. Ms. Dubois, your knowledge of UNESCO, from its program to its function, your attention to detail, your rigor kept me focused and added elegance to our work. Mrs. Ong, your sharp organizational skills and coordinating skills kept our programs very lean, yet very rich in content. And Mr. Abdeli, your intricate knowledge of your job kept this soldier safe and ensured that we carried out our engagement safely and always on time. Finally, let me conclude by sharing a picture with you. Just look at that picture there. On that picture, you see a huge, intimidating, but very kind animal, unless you agitate it. And then in that picture, you see a pool of water. And in front of that big, animal, enjoying a well-deserved drink from that pool of water, is another animal that I hope you can see that. That is the crocodile. Mighty when you get it in its habitat. Now, that picture I'm using courtesy of Clemens Friedrich. That picture was taken somewhere in this world, in one of the countries on Mother Africa, in Southern Africa, in Namibia in particular, and at a private game lodge called Erindi. I invite you to Google during lunch, and I'm sure you will be able to locate Erindi, or you can engage members of the Namibian delegation. They will be more than happy to assist you to locate Erindi. When Clemens posted this photo on his Twitter account, or when you cast your eyes over this photo, I don't know what came to your mind. I'm interested in that. So when we meet informally, engage me, because I would like to know what came to your mind when you cast your eyes over that photo. But when Clemens posted this photo on his Twitter account, one of the comments that I found instructive was the following: if human beings learned to live like these two ancient animals, Earth would be a paradise. Very interesting. That's one of the comments, that came. And it's very true. It's very true indeed. But those of you who have also read the good writings, of the great, philosopher Aristotle, that picture resonates with what he said or argued over 2,000 years ago, that an individual was born to live in complex organization with his or her fellow creatures, in community and in harmony, through compromise, but united through a common purpose, which is to live a shared life. Very true. But what is it that, I'm sure you are all wondering, Mr. President, what is it that you wanted us to take home in terms of showing this picture? What I wanted to leave with you, Your Excellencies, for what it's worth, is the following. UNESCO member states, as we can see from the picture, come in different shapes and sizes. They come with different orientations, but are intricately enjoined by the sanctity of the enduring mandate and the values of the organization. That's what joins us together. Just like the water is joining the big animal and the small croc in that picture. Therefore, let us create space in the UNESCO commonage for all those who wish to join the crusade to advance the well-being of humanity. That's what I wanted to leave with you, Your Excellency. And on that note, I would like to say spasibo, gracias, sheshe, shukran, merci, and thank you very much. Your Excellencies, thank you very much for listening to me. My apologies if I overindulged a little bit, but I hope it was worthwhile. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Ambassador Michael Wobbs, Chairperson of the UNESCO Executive Board, to take the floor. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President of the General Conference, Madam Director General, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and distinct honor to welcome you all to the 39th session of the General Conference of UNESCO on behalf of the 58 members of the Executive Board and in my own name as Chairperson of the Executive Board. Throughout the past 2 years, the Executive Board has been working diligently to prepare this General Conference. Later, I will be presenting for your consideration and adoption the agenda of this session. Please note, ladies and gentlemen, that this agenda is the collective work of not only the members of the board, but also the entire secretariat, skillfully led by our Director General, Ms. Irina Bokova. The General Conference is meeting at a crucial moment in the international development agenda. Just last week, we celebrated United Nations Day, commemorating the entry into force of the UN Charter 72 years ago on the 24th October 1946. In 2 weeks' time, on the 16th of November, we will celebrate in a similar vein the coming into force of UNESCO's constitution as well. We all know that UNESCO's mandate to contribute to peace and security by promoting collaboration among the nations remains painfully relevant today, as it did in the aftermath of the Second World War. We all know that UNESCO's mandate, that the circumstances have changed, but our objective remains the same: to build peace in the minds of men and women through education, science, culture, communication, and information, in order to further universal respect for justice, for the rule of law, and for the human rights and fundamental freedoms which are affirmed for the peoples of the world without distinction of race, sex, language, or religion by the Charter of the United Nations. This was a quote from our Constitution. For sustainable development to succeed, more education is needed so that the children of today will have the capacities they need to undertake innovative research with a view to finding green solutions for tomorrow's world. Over the past months, catastrophic climate events have demonstrated clearly that there is an urgent need to mitigate the negative impact that humanity has had on the environment. The phenomenon of radicalization, especially amongst our youth, leading to insecurity, which poses threats to fundamental rights of the citizens of all our societies. Our cultural heritage, the testament of our history, is targeted by non-state actors in an attempt to annihilate civilizations and communities. The sharing of knowledge and information is the foundation stone upon which free societies flourish. Increasingly, we have seen challenges to the media and attacks against journalists. More needs to be done, not less, to foster high quality and inclusive lifelong learning for all, to promote scientific cooperation for sustainable development, including a healthy ocean ecosystem, to support inclusive social development, fostering intercultural dialogue for the rapprochement of cultures and promoting ethical principles, to protect cultural heritage and to foster creativity and diversity, and to promote freedom of expression and access to information and knowledge. The best way to tackle these challenges and address them globally is through multilateralism. Whilst the United Nations system might not be perfect, it is the only means we have to tackle such challenges together. And as a living institution, it is incumbent upon us all to continuously endeavor to improve the mechanisms that help countries in the world build bridges and cooperate amongst ourselves. UNESCO is the only multilateral organization that can tackle these challenges head-on in a multidisciplinary way. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, there's a need for an organization like UNESCO. Unfortunately, for too long, UNESCO has been severely underfunded. Its ability to effect much needed change in member states is under attack. Withholding or non-payment of assessed contributions asserts unwarranted pressure on the organization. Neglecting one's constitutional responsibility for timely payment of such contributions severely handicaps the organization. Needless to say, this is having a negative effect on the organization. UNESCO is no longer capable of filling the mandate that was given to us over 70 years ago. In fact, the Executive Board is all too aware that the Secretariat is unable to implement the program that the previous General Conference adopted only 2 years ago. This was evident by the need for our Director General to put a contingency plan in place to address priorities with a view to continued implementation of program. Regrettably, UNESCO cannot commit to all of its international obligations within the UN system because of current financial constraints. Ultimately, UNESCO will not have an impact where it is needed most within its member states. It is therefore our collective responsibility as the representatives of member states to rectify this situation. This situation needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved as a matter of urgency. The Director General and her team have constantly kept the Executive Board apprised of this situation, and together we have provided the General Conference with documents relative to the financial burden the organization is under. Throughout this period, we were able to further improve our understanding of the integrated budget framework and make progress with results-based budgeting, especially within the context of the structured financing dialogue. This new approach allows for a more transparent understanding of the organization's financial commitments and those areas where funding is needed most. Throughout the biennium, the Executive Board fulfilled its constitutional responsibilities to ensure the efficient implementation of the organization's program by our Director General and her staff in the Secretariat. This was not an easy feat, considering the heavy financial constraints the organization has been faced with. Nonetheless, we should be proud that UNESCO remains the organization within the United Nations system where people look for guidance in our fields of competence. The Director General has prepared a solid program for the coming 4 years, and the Executive Board has ensured that the expected results proposed meet the strategic and overarching objectives set out by the General Conference in the organization's medium-term strategy. Mr. President of the General Conference, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, another positive advancement since the last General Conference is the fact that the Executive Board met on a more regular basis throughout the biennium. In fact, we met almost on a monthly basis. Before commenting on the intersessional meetings of the Executive Board, which made this happen, I would like to recall 2 key elements of UNESCO's constitution as they relate to the board. Firstly, its members are elected by the General Conference to ensure, and I quote, the diversity of cultures and a balanced geographical distribution, end quote, amongst all the member states, and consequently that the board acts as the representative governing body, quote, between ordinary sessions of the General Conference, end of quote, of our Constitution. From this constitutional basis, it is helpful to remember that these intersessional meetings were established by a decision of the board. In short, they were a board exercise undertaken for a trial period with enhanced participation of all member states. Both the Joint Inspection Unit of the United Nations and the external auditor made recommendations concerning UNESCO's governance structure. Both, they called for greater efficiency, not new processes. During the self-evaluation, it was recalled that UNESCO's board is the largest within the UN system. Similar agencies operate with fewer board members. In this regard, our board is the most inclusive in the UN system. While inclusion is important, the goal of the meetings of executive board members was and should be to improve the strategic decision-making processes of the board. Specifically, these meetings were conducted according to the decision 197, number 28 and 44 taken in 2015. Terms of reference were not established, but as the chairperson, I proposed that they help with the preparation of the upcoming session of the Executive Board, while also providing opportunity for discussion on topics of importance for the board's work. The understanding was that, in principle, debate on these items would not be reopened during the regular session, the 2 regular sessions we have only during a year, calendar year, thus improving effectiveness and efficiency of the decision-making processes of the board. These meetings also incorporated elements of the preparatory group and the board's information meetings with the Director General, which were suspended for this current biennium. A total of 10 meetings were held, 7 in 2016 and 3 in 2017. The board's evaluation of the trial period is included in the report of the Working Group on Governance according to 38C Resolution 101, together with the board's recommendations thereon. The ability to meeting informally and regularly proved to be helpful. Many members noted that they helped continue sustained consultations relative to the elaboration of document 39C5, the program and budget of the organization. Unfortunately, because of the lack of clearly defined terms of reference, members encountered a rather lengthy learning curve, and momentum was built finally by the 10th meeting held immediately before the 202nd session of the board. If this momentum was preserved, then perhaps the positive effects of that last intersessional meeting could be seen as an example for the future. A substantial number all in all 19, of items on the Executive Board's agenda were proposed by the Bureau for adoption without debate during the 202nd session, as they had been already adequately addressed during the intersessional meeting. The draft decisions of each of these items, therefore, were dealt with directly during the commissions, thus helping to improve effectiveness and efficiency of the board. Meeting regularly and engaging more often with the Secretariat was helpful, but also the experiment demonstrated the increased strains on the workload of the Secretariat because, amongst other constraints, the increased participation of the Secretary in these meetings and the need to prepare certain documents sooner than initially anticipated, as well as substantial increase in the running costs of the work of the Executive Board, notably as relates to the use of the 6 languages than 2 as in the previous formats, preparatory group, and information meetings with the Director General. This would need to be examined if such a mechanism were to be considered for the coming biennium. Distinguished delegates, in the coming weeks, the General Conference will be called upon to take decisions that will influence the future orientation of our organization. Throughout the past 2 years, the board has kept its constitutional responsibilities both to heart and mind, so that it could provide the best recommendations possible to the General Conference, so that in turn you would be able to make your decisions more wisely. Paramount amongst these decisions will be the nomination of the next Director General of UNESCO. The Executive Board undertook this task with the highest level of seriousness possible. At our 201st session, we held 90-minute interviews for each of the 9 candidates. Throughout the intersessional period, each of these candidates were carefully considered by all representatives of the board. At our recent 202nd session, we undertook 6 rounds of voting to come to the conclusion we did. Our approach to this task was innovative. The interviews were conducted in public sessions, transmitted via the internet for the first time. Thereafter, the video recording of each interview was made available online so that every member state could consult them during the intersessional period. Each round of elections took place during private meetings of the board to ensure maximum tranquility and serenity for this serious task. In the age of social media and instant transmission of information, and with regard to full transparency, the board allowed me to convey the results of each round of voting instantly. We used social media and electronic communications in order to do so. I think this helped to modernize the nomination process. Based on this experience, it may be wise for the organization to reconsider its rules and practices with the view to ensuring the highest levels of transparency for future similar processes. Finally, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on a more personal note, I wish to express sincere gratitude to my government, the Federal Republic of Germany, and in particular to my Ministry of Foreign Affairs for having permitted me to accomplish a full 4-year term as Germany's representative on the board, in conformity with our rules of procedure, thus allowing me to fulfill also my mandate as chairperson of the biennium for the full of the executive board for the full biennium. In fact, I'm honored to have almost a decade's worth of experience in UNESCO now. Firstly, from 1997 to 2001, when I was appointed as Deputy Permanent Delegate of Germany, and again since 2012, when I was named as Germany's Ambassador and Permanent Delegate to UNESCO. In 2013, after the election of Germany to the board, I became also my country's representative on the board. During this decade, I participated in the election of Mr. Matsura in 1999. I was elected the chairperson of the Nominations Committee during the 38th session of the General Conference, which was the first time that I had the honor to collaborate with you, Mr. President. And finally, I was privileged to conduct the current nomination process that will see the installation of our organization's 11th Director General next week. This experience left me with many great memories. With these few words, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Executive Board, I wish you all a fruitful and enriching 39th session of the General Conference. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hobbs, for your statement. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my distinct pleasure and honor to invite the Director General to offer her welcoming remarks. Madam Director General, you have the floor.
Monsieur le Président de la Conférence générale, Monsieur le Président du Conseil exécutif, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs de délégation, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, tout d'abord, permettez-moi de remercier le Président de la Conférence générale et le Président du Conseil exécutif pour leur dévouement à l'organisation et leur appréciation du travail conjoint avec le secrétariat dans le processus de la préparation de cette conférence générale. J'exprime ma reconnaissance aux deux présidents pour l'excellente coopération au sein du format des réunions régulières des trois organes de l'organisation, la conférence générale, le président de la conférence générale, le conseil exécutif et le directeur général selon la Constitution de l'UNESCO. Nous ouvrons cette nouvelle session de la conférence générale, Mesdames et Messieurs, à un moment important pour notre organisation. C'est un moment de réflexion sur les risques et sur les opportunités du monde, sur les meilleurs moyens d'y répondre. C'est un moment également de clarification sur les missions et des objectifs de l'UNESCO. Chaque conférence générale est l'occasion d'un retour aux sources, aux valeurs qui sont au cœur de cette organisation. Ces valeurs sont toujours aussi actuelles. Aujourd'hui, tandis que les résultats de la science et de la recherche scientifique sont parfois mis en cause, l'UNESCO a plus que jamais un rôle à jouer. Devant la montée des extrémismes qui attisent, extrémisme violent, qui attisent la haine au lieu d'enseigner la paix, l'UNESCO a des solutions à offrir. Face à la montée de nouvelles formes de racisme, d'intolérance, l'UNESCO doit être au rendez-vous. Alors, de simplification et parfois de falsification de la vérité, l'UNESCO est le lieu où doit s'exercer l'esprit de modération, l'esprit de nuance qui éclaire la complexité du monde. Alors, où autant d'appels résonnent pour élever les murs, l'UNESCO existe pour éclairer les routes et les ponts entre les cultures, les patrimoines partagés. Voilà ce que nous savons faire, voilà ce que nous allons faire. Ladies and gentlemen, the world has changed since 1945, but the idea at the heart of UNESCO has never been so true. This is the idea peace must start with human rights and dignity of every single woman and man. This is the idea progress has no meaning if it is not shared, if poverty endures, if girls and women remain abused, if violence continues to tear societies. This is the great idea. Education, culture, the sciences, communication, and information are pathways to dialogue, to renewal, essential to lasting peace and security. This is why the organization is acting in the front lines today, and for this, UNESCO requires the engagement, the leadership, the voice of every state partner. No country can retreat behind walls. There is no choice but cooperation. There is no choice but multilateralism. This is my appeal to you today. Over the last 8 years, we have root and branch reform, and we certainly need to do more. And for this, we must work together. Over the last 8 years, we have broken new ground across the world, rebuilding the mausoleums of Timbuktu in Mali, defending freedom of expression and the safety of journalists, championing new ambitious agenda for quality education, promoting the power of culture as a driver of inclusive and sustainable development, standing up to cultural cleansing, and protecting humanity's heritage as a strength for all societies to share, advancing science for sustainability, for a more resilient ocean and planet, bolstering societies in transformation everywhere. And we certainly need to do more. And for this, we must work together. UNESCO, ladies and gentlemen, has never been strong only by the wealth of its budget or the size of its teams. UNESCO is strong because of the power of its values, because of the promise we hold for the world. This is our most powerful asset, and as the United Nations Soft Power Agency, and this General Conference is an opportunity for all to renew our commitment to take this mission across the world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Director General, for your words. Ladies and gentlemen, after having listened to these wonderful interventions that were preceded by the music and then the inspiring speeches, we are now moving more to the procedural part of this meeting. As you know, the General Conference establishes at the beginning of each session committees, commissions, and other subsidiary organs as may be required in order for the General Conference to conduct its business efficiently. This morning, we will elect 2 such committees. First, we will set up the Nominations Committee. This committee will determine and submit to the conference the list of nominations for the post of President and of Vice Presidents, as well as proposals for the composition of committees, commissions, and other subsidiary organs of the conference. According to Rule 34 of the Rules of Procedures, the Nominations Committee consists of the heads of all delegations entitled to vote in the conference. The head of a delegation may designate another member of his delegation to attend meetings and to vote in his or her place. Representatives to the committee may be assisted by another member of their delegation. We will also need to establish the Credentials Committee, which is in charge of verifying the credentials of all delegations, representatives, and observers to the conference. In accordance with Rule 34 of the Rules of Procedure, this committee consists of 9 member states elected by the General Conference on the proposal of the temporary president. After careful examination of the composition of previous committees, with due regard to fair geographical distribution and following consultations with a great number of delegations, I would like to suggest that the Credentials Committee be composed of the following countries: the Dominican Republic, Greece, Guatemala, Paraguay, and Serbia. Are there any objections to this proposal? I see none, so it is so decided. I wish to congratulate the elected members and remind them that in accordance with the Rules of Procedure, the committee is responsible for electing its own chairperson. I now give the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Michael Wobbs, Chairperson of the Executive Board, who will advance the board's recommendations for presidents of the Nominations Committee and of the Credentials Committee. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, it is with honor and pleasure that I inform the General Conference that by its Decision 201-EX/20, Part Roman 4, the Executive Board recommends that Ms. Samira Al-Musa of the Sultanate of Oman be elected as chairperson of the Nominations Committee. By the same decision, Mr. President, the Executive Board recommends that Mr. José Antonio Rodríguez Duverger of the Dominican Republic be elected as chairperson of the Credentials Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hobbs, for that presentation. I would like to congratulate both Her Excellency, Ms. Al Musa from Oman, for her nomination as chairperson of the Nominations Committee, and His Excellency, Mr. Rodriguez Duvej, from the Dominican Republic as chairperson of the Credentials Committee. I invite the Nominations Committee to meet at 12 o'clock in room 4, and in the same vein, invite newly elected members of the Credentials Committee to meet at 12 o'clock in room 8. Thank you very much. We shall now examine item 1.4, the adoption of our agenda, contained in document 39C1 Proverb, which was prepared by the Executive Board at its 201st and 202nd sessions. Allow me to remind you that at this stage, according to Rule 15, only new items of an important and urgent character may be added to the agenda. Any such proposals would be considered by the General Committee tomorrow morning before being put to the General Conference for approval by a 2/3 majority vote. I will now give the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Hobbs, Chairperson of the Executive Board, to present the provisional agenda. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, Madam Director General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, in accordance with the provisions of Article 5b, paragraph 6a of the Constitution, the provisional agenda of the present session of the General Conference was prepared by the Executive Board at its 201st session on the basis of a document submitted to it by the Director General. Subsequent to its discussions in this regard, the Board adopted Decision 201-EX 20.1. In pursuance of Article 9, paragraph 2 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Conference, the provisional agenda was communicated to Member States and associate members as soon as possible after the closure of the 201st session by circular letter dated 29th of May 2017. At its 202nd session, the Executive Board examined the revised provisional agenda of the 39th General Conference, and by Decision 202-EX/27.1, retained the 8 supplementary items that were submitted within the timelines set by Rule 12 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Conference, as well as the addition of those items stemming from the decisions taken at its 201st and 202nd session. These items were included in the supplementary list circulated to Member States and associate members in accordance with the provisions of Rule 12, paragraph 3 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Conference by a circular letter dated 9th of October 2017. Mr. President, on behalf of the Executive Board, I have the honor to submit for adoption by the General Conference the revised provisional agenda contained in document 39C/1 Prov Rev. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that presentation. Are there any comments on this particular item? I see none, so the agenda is adopted. My apologies, and now I will have a procedural dilemma, because once the gavel has been set, and it would appear as if I didn't see the indication to comment on the agenda. Can you raise your nameplate once again? I am challenged in terms of my sight. I can hardly see. Just turn it around so that I can read. Oh, Germany. The distinguished representatives of Alaman, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think my delegation has raised the nameplate before adoption of the agenda. I have only one question. My delegation would like to know if by adopting the agenda, we decide that some items are to be decided without debate. This is my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Ambassador of Germany. Certainly not. If there's a need for debate, it will be debated at the appropriate levels. But for now, we are just adopting the agenda. In case there's need for deliberations, those deliberations, of course, will have to ensue at the right time. I hope that explains your question, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Then the agenda, I had already hammered, the gavel. I'm not going to re-hammer for the second time. I take it that we are in agreement and our agenda has been duly adopted. Please make sure that if you, particularly those who are at the back, we are really challenged, from this end, with the bright lights, in our faces. We are handicapped. So make sure that you raise your flag quite clearly and visibly, but not viciously, because you run the risk of losing it. Ladies and gentlemen, our next task is to examine item 1.7 of our agenda concerning the admission to the wake of the General Conference of observers from non-governmental organizations other than those with the status of official partners of UNESCO and recommendations of the Executive Board thereon. The relevant working document is document 39C12. I am now pleased once again to invite the chairperson of the Executive Board to present the board's recommendations on this matter. Ambassador Hobbs, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Director General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Civil society actors help to raise awareness of UNESCO's values and priorities within member states. They are also invaluable partners who assist with the implementation of our program locally, regionally, and internationally. In presenting this item to the General Conference, we ought to collectively praise the efforts and determination of these non-governmental organizations that wish to participate in the work of our governing bodies. with a view to sharing knowledge and collectively exchanging ideas for the benefit of our organization and its member states. The UNESCO non-governmental organization community, together with our national commissions, is the personification of our constitutional ambition, and I quote, to develop and to increase mutual understanding and a truer and more perfected knowledge of each other's lives, end of quote. Considering the current constraints that we are faced with, such partnerships should be nurtured and further encouraged. With this in mind, the Executive Board examined document 202-EX/27, part Roman 4, relating to the admission of observers from non-governmental organizations other than those in official partnership with UNESCO, as well as foundations maintaining official relations with UNESCO, to the 39th session of the General Conference. The Board's decision was unanimous. Therefore, Mr. President, I recommend on behalf of the Executive Board that those organizations listed in document 39C12 be invited to participate in the 39th session of the General Conference as observers in the debates on specific agenda items relating to their fields of competence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hobbs, for the presentation. I now wish to submit this recommendation for the approval of the General Conference. Are there any objections? This time I'm taking it slowly. I do not see any. I therefore take it that this recommendation is adopted unanimously, and thank you very much. So agreed. We will now examine item 8.4 concerning the request from New Caledonia for admission as associate members of UNESCO. The request for the admission of New Caledonia as an associate member of UNESCO is presented in document 39C55 under item 8.4. The document includes a letter dated 1 September 2017 from the Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France applying for associate membership on behalf of New Caledonia, whose international relations fall under the responsibility of his country. This letter is in compliance with Article 2, Paragraph 3 of our Constitution, which states that territories which are not responsible for the conduct of their international relations may be admitted as associate members by the General Conference by a 2/3 majority of members present and voting upon application made on behalf of such territory by the member having responsibility for their international relations. I now present to the General Conference the request for admission of New Caledonia as an associate member of UNESCO. Are there any objections to this? I do not see any. I therefore declare that New Caledonia has been admitted as a new associate member of the organization, and it is so decided. The decision that we have taken further enriches the cultural diversity of our organization. I wish to extend my warmest congratulations to New Caledonia, our new associate member. It's now my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Philippe Germain, President of the Government of New Caledonia, who will briefly address the General Conference. Mr. Germain, sir, you are invited to take the floor.
Thank you. Monsieur le Président de la Conférence Générale, Monsieur le Président du Conseil exécutif, Madame la Directrice Générale, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, cet instant est historique pour la Nouvelle-Calédonie. Vous venez, en nous accordant le statut de membre associé, de permettre à notre pays d'intégrer pour la première fois une organisation intergouvernementale mondiale de l'Organisation des Nations Unies. Cette adhésion marque une nouvelle étape dans la construction de notre politique régionale et internationale qui constitue l'un des piliers centraux du processus d'émancipation original de l'accord de Nouméa de 1998. Nous entendons assumer avec sérieux et engagement notre nouvelle responsabilité. Nous œuvrerons au sein du groupe 4 Asie-Pacifique aux côtés de nos partenaires du Forum des îles du Pacifique. Je souhaite que la Nouvelle-Calédonie puisse prendre toute sa part dans les travaux de mise en œuvre du plan stratégique 2014-2021 de l'UNESCO, en collaboration avec la France qui a présenté et soutenu notre candidature au statut de membre associé. La notoriété de l'UNESCO en Nouvelle-Calédonie résulte, au-delà de son œuvre au profit de la paix, de l'inscription au patrimoine mondial en 2008 d'une partie de notre lagon, le plus grand du monde. Cette mission emblématique de l'UNESCO en faveur de la préservation des trésors de l'humanité trouve en effet un écho tout particulier en Nouvelle-Calédonie. Par son implantation au cœur de la mer de Corail et du continent immergé zélandien, la Nouvelle-Calédonie est dépositaire d'un véritable trésor universel de biodiversité, avec des écosystèmes encore totalement préservés. À titre d'exemple, un tiers des récifs pristines de la planète sont chez nous, ce qui nous oblige devant la communauté internationale et les générations futures. Nous avons en 2015 classé la totalité de notre zone économique exclusive d'1,3 million de mètres carrés en parc naturel de la mer de Corail, ce qui en fait la plus grande aire marine protégée d'Europe. Nous avons l'ambition, Monsieur le Président, de faire de la préservation de ce patrimoine une source de développement innovante et durable. J'ai la conviction que l'UNESCO peut devenir un partenaire international de ce projet. Mesdames et Messieurs, avant de clore mon propos, je souhaite féliciter le choix pour les fonctions de directrice générale de Madame Audrey Azoulay et invite la conférence générale à confirmer ce vote dès le 10 novembre prochain. Enfin, je tiens à vous remercier de nous avoir accueillis parmi vous. Nous honorerons cet éminent privilège et contribuerons avec fierté et engagement à l'action de votre organisation. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and once again, welcome to the UNESCO family. I will now give the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Michael Wobbs, Chairperson of the Executive Board, to make a few remarks. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Au nom de tous les membres du Conseil exécutif et en mon propre nom personnel, c'est avec grand plaisir et honneur que j'accueille la Nouvelle-Calédonie en tant que membre associé de l'UNESCO et j'en félicite M. Philippe Germain, le président du gouvernement de la Nouvelle-Calédonie. Avec cette admission, notre organisation devient encore plus universelle. Au jour d'aujourd'hui, nous avons 11 États associés qui sont membres de l'UNESCO. Les membres se joignent à l'UNESCO pour recevoir de l'assistance et des conseils, mais ils veulent devenir membres pour partager leur expertise et leur connaissance avec d'autres. C'est cette notion de partage qui nous unit dans notre diversité. La Nouvelle-Calédonie, qui accueille déjà un site inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine mondial pour l'ensemble de la diversité des récifs et écosystèmes associés de cette belle archipel français du Pacifique Sud, peuplé d'une biodiversité marine exceptionnelle. Ce site fait partie d'un des 3 systèmes récifaux les plus vastes du monde. Étant une île, votre association à l'UNESCO en qualité de membre associé vous aidera à maximiser la résolution des défis du changement climatique auxquels vous devez faire face. Encore une fois, permettez-moi de féliciter à nouveau la Nouvelle-Calédonie pour cette admission en tant que membre associé de l'organisation. Nous attendons toutes les contributions vitales que peuvent apporter vos experts et représentants à l'avenir. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Hobbs. I now give the floor to the Director General to also make her remarks. Madam Director General, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président de la Conférence Générale. Excellence, c'est un plaisir d'accueillir la Nouvelle-Calédonie à l'UNESCO comme nouveau membre associé. Chaque nouvelle adhésion vient renforcer le message de l'UNESCO et l'universalité de notre organisation. Chaque nouvelle adhésion renouvelle notre engagement collectif pour la diversité culturelle, pour le respect universel de la justice, les droits et les libertés. Cette adhésion est aussi l'opportunité de partager l'expertise de la Nouvelle-Calédonie pour la mise en valeur des patrimoines culturels, naturels, vivants, la gestion durable des ressources en eau et de l'océan. Je prends notamment l'exemple du patrimoine naturel des lagunes de Nouvelle-Calédonie, inscrit sur la liste du patrimoine mondial et qui est un laboratoire exceptionnel pour la préservation de la biodiversité et la compréhension des effets du dérèglement climatique. Je souhaite à mon tour réaffirmer l'engagement total de l'UNESCO pour la mise en œuvre de l'accord de Paris, auquel nous sommes heureux d'avoir contribué. Nous sommes déterminés à mettre tous les moyens et toute l'expertise scientifique, éducative, culturelle de l'UNESCO en ce sens, et je me réjouis des perspectives qu'offre l'adhésion de la Nouvelle-Calédonie en ce sens. Et je veux saluer également l'implication si forte de la France auprès de l'UNESCO et dont cette nouvelle adhésion offre un puissant témoignage. Merci.
Thank you very much, Madam Director General, for your comments. Let me now invite the Ambassador of France to UNESCO, Ambassador Stefanini, to take the floor. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
De la conférence générale, merci Monsieur le Président du Conseil exécutif, merci Madame la Directrice générale pour vos propos. La délégation permanente française, en 2 mots, voudrait seulement ici remercier notre conférence générale et toutes les délégations des 195 membres de l'UNESCO pour avoir admis par acclamation un nouveau membre associé parmi nous, la Nouvelle-Calédonie. L'UNESCO s'étend. L'UNESCO comprend 2 nouveaux membres. Elle se félicite de cette admission pour la Nouvelle-Calédonie, pour la France et pour l'UNESCO. Elle apportera tout son soutien à ce nouveau partenaire de nos travaux. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your remarks. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I propose that we listen to the report of the Youth Forum, which was held from 25 to 26 October 2017 at the UNESCO headquarters. I had the opportunity to engage the Youth Forum last week, Thursday, and I discovered, and I was not surprised, that in young people, we have a vibrant constituency, the untapped dividend, that have got unparalleled resolve to actively contribute to seeking solutions to the challenges that our respective nations are confronted with. In this respect, it is my pleasure to give the floor to 2 very dynamic and vibrant young people, Ms. Nadia Owusu and Mr. Mark Lozano, participants at the forum who were selected by their peers to present the conclusions of this year's Youth Forum. Ms. Owusu and Mr. Lozano, please, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nadia Nanaya Owusu, a photographer of Ghana. With my organization, Star Africa, we are providing opportunities for young women and creating jobs for individuals in Africa in arts-related fields.
Hey guys, my name is Mark Lozano, and with my organization 1 Million Lights Philippines, we're bringing clean, safe, and affordable lighting to Filipino families and schools in off-grid impoverished communities around my country. We are just 2 of 60 young women and men from all regions of the world who are engaged in high-impact initiatives related to a UNESCO field of competence and function, who were lucky enough to be here last week.
On the 25th and 26th of October, we met at the 10th UNESCO Youth Forum to develop recommendations on how to improve youth engagement with UNESCO to address some of the world's biggest challenges, including the development of regional youth spaces.
And today, we're here to present the recommendations from the Youth Forum. We'll be talking about youth engagement with UNESCO and also how UNESCO can better support initiatives by youth. The main point of this is that the focus needs to be on engaging youth as partners and not just beneficiaries. As such, the following recommendations were put forward during the forum as overarching recommendations. We have 6. The first one, making information relevant to youth engagement with UNESCO accessible in both online and offline formats so that we can have maximum reach and promote inclusiveness in all initiatives that UNESCO can forward with youth. Second, building a platform for dialogue and partnership among youth, UNESCO, policymakers, and relevant stakeholders. Third, establishment of a UNESCO Youth Organizations membership for consultations, resource mapping, validation, and support. Fourth, hosting the UNESCO Youth Forum well in advance of the General conference in order to allow youth to develop a coalition of support for the recommendations they make during the forum. As such, things like this could also be a lot more effective as well. Fifth, organize more forums focused on improving youth involvement with UNESCO. We think that this is a very integral part, and if we want to see real change, this type of consultancy should be a continuous process for it to be more effective. And lastly, 6, ensure follow-up and accountability after every conference and forum to make sure that the recommendations and conclusions made are carried forth. In addition to these overarching recommendations, youth during this forum also came up with thematic recommendations for initiatives with youth around UNESCO fields of competence and functions. They will be discussed in more depth during panel discussions in this general conference. These recommendations focus on working together to further empower youth and UNESCO in the following areas. We also have 6. The first one, building education systems that cater to vulnerable populations. Building youth capacity in contributing to solving sustainable development issues through data-driven initiatives. Shaping responsible legislation on complex issues. Peace building. Safeguarding and transmitting cultural exchange and heritage. And lastly, raising awareness on complex issues using information communication technologies.
Now, I will be presenting the recommendations on how UNESCO can better support youth initiatives to improve their ability to achieve impact. There are 2 main points here, and we believe UNESCO should make capacity building more readily available to youth leaders, more importantly on areas in which they have lack of skills, and to help them address the challenges they are facing. Lastly, to ensure that there are spaces for youth to impact and connect with one another, with thought leaders, media, other stakeholders as a way to learn from one another and collaborate more effectively. In more detail, these are the following propositions we made to UNESCO. We believe on scaling youth initiatives. UNESCO should promote and endorse youth-led programs like myself and that of Max so that we'll be able to enhance their credibility and ability to resource for more funds in order to scale. And also, we propose to UNESCO that they should provide direct access to information to regional UNESCO offices, partnership with technical organizations, capacity buildings, mentorship, and also to equipment. On other building more sustainable business models, we believe UNESCO should enhance capacity building for youth to develop more sustainable initiatives through workshops, toolkits, and also mentorship programs. In cases of entrepreneurship, we believe UNESCO should advocate for social entrepreneurship as a model for social and sustainable impact. We also believe UNESCO should provide resource mapping to help initiatives effectively scale. On translating youth initiatives into policy, our idea is for UNESCO to endorse the work of young people, youth organizations, and connect us with resources and partners at a local level. We also believe consulting with youth anonymously on complex issues to protect our safety. Also, bring thought leaders in related fields together to support one cause through local forums and also engagements. Finally, we believe UNESCO should encourage policymakers to engage us in our initiatives and policy making.
All of these recommendations center around one point. And if there is something or a message that you'd take from our time here, is that in UNESCO's work, youth should not just be seen as beneficiaries anymore. Youth should be seen as partners. Partners that could help UNESCO really amplify change and really make a difference in this world.
We believe together, we are confident that we can access the world's biggest challenges, the world's biggest problems, and we hope you agree with us and make this happen.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Owusu and Mr. Lozano. Your Excellencies, I think the message from our young people was loud and clear. They would like to be involved as active partners. Thank you very much once again for your presentation. Can I suggest that the General Conference takes note of the report, because the relevant issues that have emerged from the presentation will be dealt with in the relevant commissions. Any objection to that? If not, so decided. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we were very efficient, this morning. I cannot believe it that we have concluded the first part of our engagement this morning 1 hour in advance. It would appear colleagues here on the podium, we seem to be very good, pilots. So congratulations to all of us. Before we adjourn this meeting, I would like to request you, since you are getting 1 hour, it's only fair, I would like to request you, please, to be punctual for this afternoon session, which will resume at 3 o'clock sharp. Thank you in advance for your cooperation, and bon appetit.